my name is Danielle Benson. I am here outside of the Penthouse. What? This is where I am about to see Krapps' Last Tape. Now, Krapps' Last Tape is a play by Samuel Beckett. It is a one-person show about, I believe, about an old man who has chosen art over love. And so he's lonely and he's reviewing his tapes because he does like journal tapes, I guess, every year with a bottle of wine and a banana. I'm expecting it to be heartwarming. I'm expecting it to be a little bit absurd. And I'm expecting it to be an interesting discourse on life and the choices that we get to make over artistic integrity or love or work over love. Is kind of maybe a little bit more common. But I'm super excited to see it. And a little bit curious to see what it's like to see a theater show above a strip club. I'll let you know how it goes. In the write-up, this was described as Beckett's most endearing character portrait. And it was dark in places, but just, yeah, really endearing is definitely the best word, I think. The story is essentially him sitting at his desk, listening to the tape, and recording the next tape. This first opening night of Krapps' Last Tape was the inaugural performance of this company of Seven Tyrants Theater Society in this space.
Yeah.
Seven Tyrants Theater, wow, it's a tongue twister, has been around for 10 years. They just celebrated their 10-year anniversary, and I had not heard of them before, so I am very embarrassed, because I've been getting press releases for about 6 months about the comedy and the jazz that happens upstairs, but this was the first theater performance.
Yeah, and it kind of felt like stepping on snow, being the first person to step on snow after a fresh snowfall. It's like, you feel like you're a part of something, because it's the first time they've done this. You've got this incredible atmosphere with the jazz on one side, the lounge side, and then the performance space, and so you just kind of feel like you're dipping your toes in this fresh snow. It was really quite an experience.
I was really worried about sound bleed. I thought that we were going to hear the of the nightclub, and you can't hear it at all. And it's a beautiful space. Oh my gosh.
Cute.
It's very intimate. The chairs are surprisingly comfortable. When I looked at them, I was like, oh no, what are we in for? But they're actually very comfortable. And it's a small space, a very intimate theater, a little black box. And it's minimalist, but it's got everything you need. What I find is that every time you see something that really speaks to you, every time for me anyway, that I see something that really resonates with me, I often liken it to things that I've seen before that have resonated with me. And I know Chantal had the same experience. So for me, in this, I saw echoes of one of my favorite little short films called Dinner for One, which in South Africa I grew up watching every single New Year's, which is kind of appropriate because this is like a once-a-year thing as well. And the physical comedy was, for me, very reminiscent of that little short film that I watched every single year as I was growing up. And for you,
of course, because it's a Beckett play, it reminded me of Waiting for Godot, which I'd seen before, and so I got those kind of same tones. But I've got to admit, this one felt like a lonelier version of Waiting for Godot.
Lonelier,
yeah, not a two-hander.
Well, yeah, it was only one person on stage.
So a little lonely.
Something else that I really appreciated about this show is that it starts in silence, and that takes a lot of bravery, and it also takes a lot of talent. Because it is really hard to keep someone's attention, keep an audience's attention, especially when you haven't said anything yet. And I was actually hoping when we started, I was like, oh, maybe the actor never speaks at all. We only hear the tapes. But
I was afraid of that.
She was scared of that. I was excited for it. But the actor does speak. But it's so rooted in his reality. It's so intimate and so personal that there's no performative element to it at all.
If you aren't a fan of absurdist plays, it might feel a little slow for you at the start.
And you said you were scared it was going to be like...
Yeah, I kind of thought it was going to be like where, you know, in bad improv where they introduce a door but nobody ever walks through it and you never find out what's behind it. I thought we were never going to get to hear the tapes playing because I didn't read the synopsis. But we do hear the tapes and they become the most interesting part of the piece because you follow this journey of getting deeper into this, you know, this silent genius's psyche that he probably doesn't share with many people, and the further you get into it, the more it draws you in.
And it is a very quiet piece, it's a very slow piece, and what I loved about it is that because it starts this way, it kind of forces you into patience. And I loved it because we live these like fast, like multitasking lives, and it forces you to stop and pay attention and be patient, and I love that. Something I didn't love, I find, I don't like being left alone with an empty stage as an audience member. And they did it often, and they did it for quite long. That said, I actually think it did work. Only just. It was like right on the line for me. So this is about growing old. I mean, it's his last tape. He is a man at the end of his life, reviewing his life. And for a play about aging, man, it was relatable.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm only in my mid-30s, but wow, there was so much in there that I was like, yes!
Yeah,
I know exactly how this feels.
Yeah, a huge part of that for me was like when I look back on old journal entries and just laugh at myself and how ridiculous I was. But my favorite part of the play is when he's looking back on his old tapes and he's laughing at himself. So he's
laughing with himself at his previous self.
So he's laughing with himself at his younger self, who's saying, "Oh, those all those times I used to say I was going to stop drinking," and the man in the tape recording laughs, and he laughs, and it was so beautiful.
And then other times that he swears at himself and he gets frustrated at himself, and his reactions were so like, it was
very
so real and relatable, and I definitely react to myself like that. So it was really cool to see someone else reacting to themselves in that way. As beautiful and poignant and endearing as it was a lot lighter than I was expecting it to be, but man, there's a kicker. It like punches you in the heart at the end.
Yeah.
I was really hoping for a kind of light, happy ending, which was dumb because it's Beckett.
Come on.
But
what were you expecting?
But I was hoping. I was hoping against hope.
Yeah, there's such an element of loneliness for it, and I don't do well with loneliness. I don't want anyone in the world to be lonely. It's a thing. It's a thing. I don't want people to be lonely. So it was hard to watch that, of course, and I do feel like it is valuable, though, to get, windows into this genius's soul, into his psyche, into his mind that we don't often get to see. So it is valuable. It's just hard for me to watch loneliness.
And why he made the choices that he made, I think, is also, it makes you kind of think, am I making this choice to make myself lonely? Or, because I think when you review your life as someone who's only in their mid-30s, when you review your life, sometimes you go, oh, maybe that wasn't the right choice. So it was a beautiful perspective, and a very powerful perspective, I think.
And he had this moment where he was listening to himself kind of have a revelation, and he skipped over it. Like, he couldn't handle it because whatever that revelation
was... It was wrong.
Whatever it was, we didn't get to hear it, but...
Oh, I have an idea.
Yeah, she has an idea.
I have an idea.
Yeah, and so, you kind of get to see this juxtaposition of the regrets of his life, but also the things that he holds on to. So I found that interesting.
Yeah, and the things that hit him, and you really saw them hit him.
Yeah.
There's so much intimacy that comes in through the voice, when you're really reliving something that is so much more intimate than writing.
That's beautiful.
Because he was really there, and when you're reliving a memory and sharing it with yourself in the privacy of your home.
Yeah, after the sad ending, you enter into this jazz lounge, and there's something about it, this like angsty, deep soul jazz coming out of this really lonely performance, but a beautiful performance, absolutely. And then coming into this jazz, that it's like, you know what? There is beauty in the loneliness, and I hope everything's okay for Krapps. I really do.
And to be fair, you don't walk out straight into the jazz. I think the jazz starts at 9:30, and the show ends just after 9.
So you have time to
process.
process.
A little bit of time to process.
I'm so excited and happy to see real props used. I mean, the tape player, like, first of all, you really would have had to learn to use that prop. That was a real. Not just anyone can do that. That takes time.
And he's playing an old man with like shaking fingers, and I was like, oh,
is he gonna like? What if something goes wrong? Like, I was so impressed by how they lined up. I don't know how this worked.
It was very textured. It was very real, and I was expecting more abortive sentences and a kind of a more absurdist outlook. This was quite a cohesive play, actually, for Beckett. It was reasonably linear. It was easy to understand. It was still poetic, but very linear. And still slow. but it wasn't like way out there crazy. But it was so natural in the way that he wouldn't finish sentences because he's talking to himself. So he's not going to explain things. He's not going to over-explain, and there wasn't that over exposition that we get sometimes. There was none of that. It was very clean.
We were trusted to just figure it out.
So we are here at Tyrant Studios. We have just seen 7 Tyrants Theater Societies opening night of Krapps' last tape. It really blew me away. I'm very excited to see more productions by this company. I realize they've been around for a while, but I've only just noticed them.
We're new to the party, okay?
New to the party. They have 4 shows this season. The next one is Doubt, I believe in November. We will have that on our database. If you saw the show, if you like the show, please comment on our website, comment on our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our Theater Addicts homepage for a database of all the shows that are going on in Vancouver every month. We are going to be the first comprehensive theater listing in Vancouver. So
Yeah.
come check us out for that. My name is Danielle Benson.
I'm Chantal Emery.
And go and see some live theater this weekend. Thank you so much, theater addicts. Bye!